Hello and welcome to Boring Dad Gaming, where today I'm going to be taking a look at another class within Baldur's Gate 3 Early Access, which is Cleric. Now Cleric for me is probably one of the more interesting classes in that there's a variety of viable builds. I mean, you could be a healer primarily, and you could be a damage dealer from distance, you could be a melee fighter. I think quite possibly you could ask 10 different people what their best cleric build was and get 10 different answers. So it's one that's quite hard to pin down. I think you have to sort of choose quite early on what direction you want to go in. And for me, I'm going to go for a dexterity-based ranged fighter, someone who can deal damage from distance with a sideline and healing, because that is a feature of the cleric class. So this is Tav as is the generic name. Now, in backgrounds, you go through and look for anything that's related to Dex and Wisdom, because those are going to be our main stats here. So something like Charlatan could be quite good. You get the Sleight of Hand. Our Charisma's not massively high, but we can boost it with spells, and just getting a conversation skill in there feels all right to me. I mean, I'm not sure which others stand out particularly. You could argue for folk hero, I suppose, but those animal handling and survival have to be two skills I've not really found much use for. Our intelligence is low, so avoid anything that's intelligence-based. Urchin, you could argue for sleight of hand and stealth. Actually, I'm tempted to go for that. Because maybe we could sort of have a bit of a roguey element as well, and maybe not have to take Astarion in the party. I like Astarion, but I know some people don't. In terms of race, there's a few good choices. I'm going with a Wood Elf, Dexterity +2 and Wisdom +1, primarily the key features there. Also get Keen Senses, so we're proficient in Perception, which is nice, and Perception, don't forget, is linked to our Wisdom. We get Longbow and Short Sword, as well as those others, but those are going to be our main go-tos, at least until we get, I think we'll be able to use Rapier, possibly. But Longbow is a good one. Dark Vision is always nice. Fey Ancestry, so we can't be put to sleep. We have advantage against being charmed. We're a bit quicker than some of the other races, and proficiency in stealth as well. So that's all looking pretty good. There are some other options that you could look at. Gold Dwarf is one that gets recommended a lot. You get Constitution +2 and Wisdom +1 with that. I think perhaps if you were taking more of a melee-focused cleric, then that would probably be your go-to choice. And likewise, Half-Elf, you get +2 to Charisma, and you can then put a couple of points towards Dex and Wisdom, perhaps, or whatever you fancy. But I am going with the Wood Elf. So the class is already selected as Cleric. We're going to talk quickly about the other two types of Cleric. So you have the Life Domain, and this is basically your healer class, with a little bit of damage output as well. And that's because of the Disciple of Life subclass feature, where when you're casting a healing spell, the target gains additional hit points equal to 2 plus the spell's level. So probably an extra 3 or 4 in most cases. You also have the Trickery Domain, which is perhaps leaning even more heavily into like the rogue type class elements, because you're doing things like you've got Blessing of the Trickster, where you can get advantage on stealth checks, or grant that to other people. Disguise Self, Charm Person. So it's much more sort of, well, as it says, a tricky class. And that's okay. I think Shadowheart is already a Trickery Domain cleric. So if you are interested to see how that plays, you could always play around with her a little bit in the early access. But we're going Light Domain. And what this means is that we are going to be doing a bit more damage with our spells. We've got Warding Flare, so we can shield ourselves with Divine Light. Use your reaction to impose disadvantage on an attacker. And that's a feature. I don't know how many times you can cast that between long rests. We'll find out when we dive into the combat example. And Domain always prepared spells include good stuff like Burning Hands, Fairy Fire, so again we can get advantage against people. And Light, although we've got Dark Vision, you might have members in the party who don't, so you can keep that up and make sure that they don't get disadvantage on their attacks. I'm going to quickly pop through the spells and cantrips. So, a choice of 4, you can choose 3 from 4. And I've gone, you get Guidance, which is a good cantrip to have. It can crop up in ability checks, saves, conversations. You can use that to get a bonus to the check. You get a resistance, so you can bolster someone against saving throws with a d4. And thaumaturgy, you can gain advantage on intimidation checks, so we can use that in conversations again to, our charisma's low, so this would help us win some of those checks. The other alternative is Sacred Flame, and a lot of people might say take this because it's, it's a cantrip, it's free damage, it's a free d8 damage. But my beef with the Sacred Flame is that its hit chance is it's just terrible. It really is. I mean, anyone who's watched my Solasta playthrough on the channel will know that it became a bit of a running theme that all these enemy clerics would just constantly spam this Sacred Flame, and I think in like a 30-plus hour campaign, I don't think they landed a single one. I think we saved against it every single time. And because we're a dex-based ranged class, a lot of the time it's going to come down to, do I want to, because it is a full action, do I want to come down to a 75% chance with my bow, or like a 40% chance with Sacred Flame? And you're going to take the bow every single time. It's perhaps a nice to have, but until they boost the hit chance or something on it, and I don't think they probably will, I don't really see the point of it. So, that's the ones I'm going with. On the prepared spells front, Bless is an automatic take for me. I think we'll take that instead of the water-based one. Guiding Bolt is unlike Sacred Flame, this is just a really nice spell. It does a lot of damage, pretty good hit chance, long range. It gives other people advantage on that target for a couple of turns, so it's just a really good spell. Shield of Faith, you can increase armor class, but I think that I'm probably going to take something like Inflict Wounds, because this is just really good melee damage. So although we're a ranged class and our strength is low, so if something comes up to fight us, having something like Inflict Wounds would just be pretty good. I might take off Bane, and we'll probably take Cure Wounds, although Healing Word is less healing, but it has range, and it's a bonus action, so that might be worth taking for that. Shield of Faith is too. I mean, when we level up, we'll probably choose to take some of these spells. But those are the ones I'm going with. I think that's just telling us what our full range of spells to choose from was, so we've just prepared 4 of those. So that's fine. In terms of the skills, medicine is wisdom, religion is intelligence, let's get rid of that. Insight is wisdom, so we'll take that, I think. I would generally like to take persuasion, but it feels better to take the ones that are linked to our wisdom stat. And then a quick look at our abilities. So to talk through these, wisdom is our main stat for landing our spells. Getting around creatures' saving throws, I think, are some of the ability checks. Pretty important. Dex for our bow damage and also armor class. It's good to keep that pretty high. Constitution is probably our third stat, just to get a decent amount of hit points. There are occasions where that will be useful. Intelligence is a bit of a dump stat for us. Charisma, I didn't want to have a negative modifier for that because you do get a lot of conversation checks and stuff. And strength are boosted to 10 because, as I understand it, we're going to be able to wear medium armor, and we will. And as I understand it, some of the better medium armors within the early access require a minimum strength of 10. So that's why I've gone for that. I think you could be, if you wanted to say take charisma down and put an extra point into constitution, I think you could probably make an argument for that, but that's the way I'm going. When we come back, we're going to be leveling this character up to levels 2, 3 and 4. So here we are at level 2, and the first class feature unlocked to mention is Channel Divinity. We get Turn Undead, so any undead that can see or hear us is forced to use its actions to flee from us until it takes damage, which is okay. We get Radiance of the Dawn, and this is what we talked about. So, harness the sun's divine power to dispel any magical darkness and deal 2d10 plus 1 radiant damage to hostile creatures, and that's 9 meters. What's that? About 30 feet. Effect. On a successful save, they still take half damage. Anything in total cover won't be affected, but that's a really nice feature to use. So we can do that once per... It's a short rest, in fact, it says here, so that's pretty good. We get a 5th prepared spell. Let's just jump in and see what we want to take. It's given us Bane again. I'm going to take that off, and I'm going to take perhaps the Shield of Faith. It's a bonus action, which is always nice. Yeah, I think so. Here we are, level 3. Class features. We've got some more spell slots. We'll probably those are the new spells it's given us. We'll be able to prepare a couple of those, it looks like. We've got a couple of spells here. We've got Flaming Sphere and Scorching Ray, which is pretty nice. We'll definitely make use of those. We're sort of getting our damage spells in now. Let's customize this a little bit. So we're going to take off Bane, it likes to give us, and... well, it's tricky. I might take Shield of Faith off now. And we're going to take... it's a pretty nice healing spell. Lesser Restoration, Hold Person, Enhance Ability. This is a good one. We can cast ourselves on this. It's a concentration spell, so it'll last until we break it, or have it broken. So what we can do is use this before we have a conversation that we know we're going to have to do checks in. So maybe before you go in the Druid's Grove, for instance, maybe you cast this on yourself, and then any conversations within that area, you'll gain advantage on that, if you so wish. So I think that's pretty good. I'm going to take that. I mean, I guess here you might take the extra healing, perhaps, if you're in a party where you think that would be useful. We are going to have level 2 spell slots. Is there anything? Mind you, we did get the Scorching Ray and stuff, didn't we, already, which is quite good. So, I'm going to go back for Shield of Faith then. And there we go. So we're level 4 now. We get another level 2 spell slot. Cantrip. It's actually given us the Sacred Flame now, so that's fine. I doubt we'll ever use it. We have another prepared slot, so maybe we could take that off and take the powerful healing spell, perhaps. For this build, I think we're going to take the ability improvements. We're going to take Wisdom +2, I think, just so we make sure we're landing these spells that we want to. And that's that. When we come back, we're going to try this out in combat. Okay, so we're in combat at the Ruins. We've already taken a bit of damage. We're hamstrung. Despite the high dex, we're actually going almost last. But I'm going to open up with this Radiance of the Dawn and just see what I can do with this. All these characters are pretty close to me. 55%. We'll see what happens. Not bad. Almost killed this guy. Instead of healing, I think what we'll do, we'll put a Shield of Faith on ourselves. Concentration-based spell. We will take an attack of opportunity if we move. I would like to get away from them, though. Yeah, he missed that. That's good. Oh, hamstrung. I can't move very far. It probably won't make much difference. Dodged a fair few of those attacks. What I think we'll do is, as both of these are within melee range, I think we're going to Burning Hands. Let's do it at level 2. There we go, both dead. And I think we'll use our healing word on ourselves. And let's just come behind here so the ranged character can't shoot at us. There, you got some acid going. What we're going to do, we're going to pop round ourselves here now. And we can use our bow. We could do a Guiding Bolt, which I quite like. It's a good spell. He's only got 5 hit points. It might be a bit of overkill. We've got this mage to think about as well. What we could... Okay, well let's do the bow first. There we go. Got exactly what we needed. And if we'll we'll try and get behind this pillar so that we can maybe just get out of the way of a spell that she'll probably cast on her turn. Oh, that was a powerful firebolt. Didn't like that. So we could Scorching Ray. 60% chance, but we've got 3 projectiles. Let's put them all on her. There she goes. Took a few hits, but we were soloing it, so that's to be expected. The melee fighters were focused on us for quite a while. Showed you there what the Radiance of the Dawn does. That's quite a good little AoE. You've got the Scorching Ray. It's very good at taking down single targets or multiple targets with lower health. Didn't even use the Guiding Bolt, which is just a really good spell. Burning Hands for when things are too close. Yeah, so it's just a really strong, versatile choice, I think, really. So there we go. That's the Light Cleric in action. So thanks very much for watching. I hope that was useful. If it was, then please do hit the like button on the video and consider subscribing to the channel as well, which would be amazing. And in the meantime, I hope to see you again for, I think it's going to be our last Baldur's Gate 3 class guide. I think Bard's the only one I haven't done yet. So hopefully see you then, and bye for now.